Hello and welcome to HitBullsEye. My name is Manish, and in this video we will discuss the most important news from national and international affairs for the first week of February 2023. In case you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you receive the notifications of these videos as and when we post them. Let's take a look at all important that has happened in the past 1 week. Number one, Microsoft, led by Satya Nadella, has invested $10 billion in ChatGPT maker OpenAI. ChatGPT has become so much famous in the last 1 month because it has been generating quite fascinating texts, through artificial intelligence. So we will talk about that, and that is maybe the reason why a company like Microsoft has purchased OpenAI or like has invested this much in this. Next, in the Republic Day Parade 2023, Uttarakhand's Tableau has won the first prize. Next, India's first model G20 summit has been inaugurated by the Sherpa of India for G20, that is Mr. Amitabh Kant. So we will take a look at that. Indian origin British economist Meghnad Desai has written a new book on economics, which is going to be quite insightful. So we will take a look at that. Next, Vishakhapatnam is going to be the new Andhra Pradesh capital. So 9 years after Telangana was created as a separate state, finally Andhra Pradesh has decided which city is going to be its capital. There was a time when the Chief Minister, Mr. YSR Reddy, was, let's say, determined to establish three different capitals of one state, which was going to be the first of its kind case. But after the High Court's order stopping the state government from going ahead with making three different capitals, they have now decided to make one capital, that's going to be Vishakhapatnam. So we'll take a look at that. Next, 30th National Child Science Congress has taken place recently. हम देखेंगे कि ये कहाँ पे हुई है, National Child Science Congress. Then military exercise Trishakri Prahar has taken place, in which three armed forces participated. We will see which three armed forces participated. Then India is playing the host to G20. So there are going to be a host of meetings throughout the year. In fact, I think there are more than 50 sets of meetings that are planned throughout the year. So perhaps one meeting per week we are going to witness. So last week was the International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting, which was held in Chandigarh. So we'll take a look at that. Then World Wetlands Day has been commemorated in the last 1 week. Congo, an African country, has joined the International Solar Alliance, which is led by India and France. And finally, Australia has decided to remove the British monarchy from its banknotes. Now that the Queen Elizabeth II is no more and the throne has passed on to King Charles III, perhaps Australia has thought it's the right time to move away from the photographs of British monarchs on their currency notes. So we'll take a look at all these news. Let's see one by one. First of all, Microsoft has invested $10 billion in ChatGPT maker OpenAI, which is a major sum, $10 billion. So Microsoft Corp, which is led by Mr. Satya Nadella, will be making a $10 billion investment in OpenAI. So OpenAI, that means Open Artificial Intelligence. It's a research lab behind the famous ChatGPT and DALL-E. ChatGPT is a text generator through artificial intelligence, and DALL-E is a image generator, basically. This is a third phase of the partnership between these two companies, because earlier Microsoft has invested in 2019 and 2021 as well. So it's like every 2 years they are making these investments. 2019, 2021, now 2023. Microsoft has also said that this partnership will accelerate the breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. Deals like this by a company as visible as Microsoft makes people believe that this is actually a scalable technology. Otherwise, when we talk about artificial intelligence, generally people do not have any examples to quote that what is artificial intelligence. But things like this, like OpenAI, Chat GPT, this has led to the popularity of AI, which has made it somehow more mainstream. So now Microsoft is investing in this. Just like, in the last 1 year also, we have been discussing so many news where Microsoft has invested in video game companies also, you know. So here also, it's going to, I think, mainstream artificial intelligence much more. And now OpenAI already works closely with Microsoft's cloud services Azure. So this is going to make AI more mainstream because, as we know, Microsoft is one of the most used softwares in the world, thanks to its Office, MS Office. Next, the Republic Day 2023. We discussed it last week. Republic Day being celebrated by India, the 73rd Republic Day it was. So on that Republic Day, there were a lot of tableaus that were presented by the states showing their own culture and some ministries and departments as well. So out of all of them, Uttarakhand's tableau has been adjudged as the best tableau. So what did it showcase? It showcased the state's wildlife and religious sites. So what was there basically? In the foreground, there was reindeer, deer, and various birds roaming in the world famous Corbett National Park. So this is what was shown. Wildlife on the Corbett National Park. This is what was shown on the tableau. The central part of the tableau depicted the state animal of Uttarakhand, musk deer. Musk deer, which is the state animal, it was there. So all these are really important. National bird peacock was there. Jogeshwar Dham, Jageshwar Dham, which is a religious site in Uttarakhand. It's a group of 125 small and big ancient temples in Manaskhand's Almora district, and popular deodar trees were shown in the rear part of the tableau. So basically, it was a sort of a combination of religious sites and environment, or let's say wildlife. So this was about the state tableau. As far as the regiments are concerned, Army's Punjab regiment has been adjudged the best marching contingent. Best marching contingent. Then CRPF marching contingent was the top prize among CAPFs and other auxiliary forces. So these are some of the awards that were given away. And finally, among the ministries and departments, the tableau of Ministry of Tribal Affairs was adjudged as the best one. And its model showed Eklavya model residential schools, which are the residential schools for meritorious tribal students. So these are the winners of the Republic Day tableau. Next, India's first Model G20 Summit. So Model G20 Summit was inaugurated by G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant. So Sherpa, just like in mountaineering, Sherpa is a person who assists the mountaineer to climb the summit. Here also, it's like climbing a summit. So summit is like that meeting in which the top leaders of the countries participate, like the presidents and the prime ministers. But that summit is going to take place in the month of November, which is more or less a concluding meeting. So before that, a host of meetings will be held on science and technology, trade, agriculture, finances, and so many other subjects. So to help all the countries climb that summit, or maybe to reach an agreement on all these topics by the time summit is there is a person with a let's say the job title of Sherpa that is appointed by the host country. And for India, that Sherpa is Mr. Amitabh Kant, who is a former CEO of Niti Aayog. So he inaugurated the first Model G20 Summit organized by Rambhav Malgi Prabodhini's Indian Institute of Democratic Leadership. It's a 2-day summit, and it was organized in a campus in Mumbai to celebrate India's presidency. It's like Model United Nations. So it's Model G20 Summit to acquaint the leaders or to acquaint the youngsters with how the G20 functions. To take the idea of G20 to the youth, right? And also, yes, reiterating, G20, this is the logo, this is the official logo of G20, and Vasudev Kutumbakam is the motto of India, and Vasudev Kutumbakam has been taken from Maha Upanishad. Maha Upanishad from Samved. So from Samved, it has been taken, Maha Upanishad. Vasudev Kutumbakam, which means the whole world is one family, or one earth, one family, one future. Next, Meghnad Desai has written this new book. So Meghnad Desai is an Indian origin British economist. So this is the book, The Poverty of Political Economy. The Poverty of Political Economy, How Economics Abandoned the Poor. And this title is, quite beautifully designed. It's like an entire pie chart is shown, how economics abandoned the poor. Like the poor have been, given a pie of the entire, let's say, the cake, just a pie of the cake, and they have been like segregated from the mainstream. So somehow that is what this is showing, how economics abandoned the poor. And in this book, Mr. Meghnad Desai has highlighted how the discipline of economics has systematically kept the interests of the poor at the periphery. And that is what exactly the title is also showing, that this photograph is also showing. So in this, it discusses everything, in the world economy, uh, right from the Keynes days to the Great Economic Depression by the Lehman Brothers in 2008. So this is basically an economic critique of this entire thing. Next is Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Mr. Y.S.R. Reddy. Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy has announced that Vishakhapatnam is going to be the new capital of Andhra Pradesh. And this after all the confusion about having three capitals, which were Vishakhapatnam, Amravati, and Kurnool. So his official or original idea was that we will have three capitals, one for the legislature, one for the executive, and one for the judiciary. So in one capital there will be the High Court of Andhra Pradesh. In another capital there will be the governor's house and the chief minister's house, and the council of ministers meetings will take place. And in the third state will be the legislature, that is the Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council of Andhra Pradesh. But of course, now the plan has been abandoned because in March last year, 2022, the Andhra Pradesh High Court had ruled against the proposal to establish three capitals. Although the state has appealed against that decision in the Supreme Court, but right now this decision stands. So the High Court had directed the government to develop Amravati as the state capital as envisaged. Originally, they had said that we will establish a new capital. And all this matter started because in 2013, when Telangana was carved out of Andhra Pradesh, the combined capital Hyderabad was given to Telangana. So Hyderabad earlier was the capital of Andhra Pradesh, but after Telangana got separated from Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad went into Telangana. So now Hyderabad is the capital of Telangana, leaving Andhra Pradesh without any capital. At that time, they decided that Amravati is going to be the new capital. But then they reneged on their promise. Maybe the government changed and they said, we want administrative decentralization. So they said, we want three different capitals, which of course is not logistically feasible because all these three organs, legislature, executive, and judiciary, they work closely with each other. They work in tandem with each other. So it's logically better to have single state capital where all these organs and their offices exist together, just to save a lot of man, material, money, and energy, because they have to interact quite a lot, all of these. But now they have decided that we will not develop Amravati, but Vishakhapatnam as the capital. So for us, Vishakhapatnam is going to be the new capital of Andhra Pradesh. 30th National Child Science Congress. Child Science Congress. This is not the full-fledged National Science Congress. This is the National Child Science Congress. So it recently was held in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. So it is the venue that is the most important. But other than that, you should also know that it was organized by the Gujarat Council on Science and Technology, that is Guj Coast. This was the organizer, and this was the 30th National Child Science Congress, basically to inculcate the interest towards the core sciences in among children. That is the reason for this. Military exercise Trishakri Prahar. Trishakri Prahar has recently taken place. So Trishakri means three forces are involved in this. One is the Indian Army, second is the Indian Air Force, and third is the Central Armed Police Forces. So Army, Air Force, and CAPFs. These are the three armed forces that were engaged in this particular exercise. And the purpose was to practice battle preparedness of the security forces using the latest weapons and equipment in a networked integrated environment. So basically new types of challenges are coming in warfare, just to keep themselves sharp and up to date with the new environment. They keep doing such exercises, and it was held in North Bengal. In North Bengal. G20 International Financial Architecture Working Group. So G20 is going to, G20 is going to have a lot of meetings throughout this year, and one of its meetings was on International Financial Architecture Working Group. So this was held recently in Chandigarh, and what was discussed was how to enhance cohesion of the global financial architecture and how to make it fit to address the global challenges of the 21st century. What are the global challenges of the 21st century? India pitched for central bank digital currencies. Like, for example, here you will see. So it was steered by the Ministry of Finance and the Reserve Bank of India. So along with that, France and Korea were the co-chairs of this meeting. So the delegates of France and Korea acted as co-chairs, while India was, of course, the chair. A G20 side event was organized. Its title was Central Bank Digital Currencies, Opportunities and Challenges. So this shows that India is pitching forward the idea of central bank digital currency. And we also saw that last year, India's Reserve Bank has also started a pilot project of e-rupee, that is central bank digital currency. This is a very futuristic concept. It's like cryptocurrency, that is regulated by the central bank of that country, which lets go of the unpredictability factor, the volatility factor. So you have that trust on the cryptocurrency, which is regulated and controlled by the central bank. So that is an idea that India has been pitching to all these countries. It remains to be seen if there is an agreement on that or not. World Wetlands Day. So wetland is basically a geographical area which is submerged in water, like a forest where that is submerged in water, like 2-3 meters deep water, 1 to 2 meters deep water. It's a wetland. So a wetland is a highly biodiverse area, or highly rich in biodiversity, you can say. So the World Wetlands Day we celebrate on the 2nd of February every year. So on 2nd of February 2023, recently it was celebrated, and the theme was it's time for wetland restoration. This was the theme. It's time for wetland restoration. Why do we celebrate it on 2nd of February? Because on this day in 1971, the Ramsar Convention was signed. Ramsar Convention is the Convention for Protection of International Wetlands. Ramsar is a city in Iran where this agreement was signed. So Convention on Wetlands was signed and came into force on this day. That is why we celebrate 2nd of February as International Wetlands Day or World Wetlands Day. Theme, it's time for wetlands restoration. Also right now, 75 wetlands of India are on the Ramsar list, which is a matter of honor because we are one of the countries with the highest number of wetlands on this Ramsar list. that shows India's biodiversity, and it was done last year. Basically, India had around 40 wetlands on the Ramsar list, but last year, since it was the 75th year of India's independence, they chose almost 25 to 30 wetlands of India on the Ramsar list straight away. So that took our number from 40 odd to directly 75. So that is a significant change from last year to this year. Next, the International Solar Alliance. When we talk about the international climate change framework, you know, like how the countries are coordinating with each other to reverse climate change or to stop climate change. One standalone treaty that has done the most in this particular century is the Paris Agreement of 2015. So, in that agreement, every country agreed that something needs to be done to stop climate change, but every country needs to have a unique approach. So, every country has their own set of targets which they want to achieve. And if they do that, then collectively it will help the entire planet. This thing was termed as NDC, Nationally Determined Contribution. Like every nation will determine their own contributions that they can make towards reversing climate change or stopping climate change. So India also submitted its nationally determined contribution, and every other country also did. One of the major common ingredient of all these NDCs was a push towards renewable energy. Now, what's renewable energy? Well, that can be renewed, like solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, biogas, things like that. So, solar energy is one of the most important renewable sources of energy. So, when that happened, India and France, these two countries spearheaded the discussions on establishing an international solar alliance. So, India is one of the front runners and in fact the co-founders of International Solar Alliance. So India thought that if this is a common ingredient in all the NDCs, why don't we have a separate international body for it? And since India was one of the co-founders along with France, the headquarters of International Solar Alliance are in India, Gurugram, near Delhi. This is the headquarters of International Solar Alliance. So we started it, and slowly it made sense for a lot many countries, especially those which are in or around the tropics, because they receive more than 300 days of direct sunlight throughout the year. So it makes sense if they join the solar revolution. And till date, 107 countries have joined the International Solar Alliance. 107 countries. So recently, Congo has joined the International Solar Alliance. So Congo is a African country, and it has joined the International Solar Alliance. Australia has decided to remove the British monarch from its banknotes. So this is one of the banknotes. So you can see the Queen Elizabeth II's photograph on Australian, like $5 Australian. These are the notes of $5 Australian, and you can see Queen Elizabeth II's portrait on this. So it was supposed to be revised and to add King Charles III's portrait on it, but apparently now the Reserve Bank of Australia has decided that they are not going to pursue that, right? So they are going to honor the indigenous culture of Australia, and this demand has been growing. You know, so last year when in September Queen Elizabeth II passed away, there were a lot of voices in Australia which said that we do not want dominion status under the Britain. You know, the colonial days are long gone. We do not want the British monarch to be our ceremonial head anymore. We want to have our own culture. Maybe we want to have our own elected head of state. And this type of a demand has been growing in so many other countries as well. Like if we take the example of Barbados. Barbados is a country, a very small island country, which last year came out of the clutches of the British Empire. Not exactly, but ceremonially. So they got independence from British in the last century, but they still continued to accept or continued to honor the British monarch as their head of state, which is called the dominion status somehow. but now they have become a full-fledged republic, and now that they are going to have their own elected head of state, just like India. So in India, the head of the state is the president, and president is an Indian, always an Indian, and he or she is an elected one. Like right now, president is Draupadi Murmu. So she is an elected head. This makes the country a republic. So people are perhaps demanding in Australia that they should also become a republic. They should no longer accept the British monarch as their head. And that's why they are going to remove the British monarch's photographs from their banknotes. Of course, these notes will continue to be the valid legal tender, but they are going to introduce indigenous cultural designs that honor the culture and history of the first Australians, that is the indigenous or aboriginal people. That's a change, and that's how they are going to soothe so many people who are protesting against such kind of post-colonial mindset. So that is all we had to cover in this week's video. If you liked it, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section. If you think that we should improve something, do let us know that as well. That is all. This is me, Manish Mittal, signing off. Thank you and take care.